everyone, Michelle Seidling here with another episode of Food Experience Unplugged. Today we are talking about preventing depression, one of a key concept of wellness. And who better to talk about that with than Ana Lennyr, a life strategist and parenting and relationship mentor. So welcome to the podcast, Ana. This podcast is available on multiple platforms, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and others. Please be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to be informed as new episodes become available. If you enjoyed today's episode or any of our episodes, please rate and review the podcast on your favorite platform. As always, check out our website at foodexperienceunplugged.com for some resources as you begin your health journey.
Thank you, Michelle, for giving me the opportunity to talk about this topic that people are talking about in shadow.
Yes, unfortunately, it's a big, prevalent topic, and I'm glad that you're here to discuss that. To get started, will you take a moment to introduce yourself and what brought you to this point in your life and career, and why the direction of depression and preventing depression?
So yes, my name is Ana Lennyr, and I was one of those kids at the age of 7 that could not smile in a picture in front of a camera, right? And you wonder, my mom was wondering, everybody was wondering, what's wrong with this kid? Why she can't smile? And just smile. Well, I cannot. What do you mean you cannot smile, right? Well, when you are suffering from all kind of emotional problems and all kind of health problems since that age, right? You really don't feel like smiling in a picture at that age, right? So I had eye problems since I was little. At the age of 12, I developed an S-shaped scoliosis, which brought me to fibromyalgia and back pain, headaches, migraines. All these things were so normal. It's like you would have served me toast with jelly. Okay, it would have been like, oh, it's just another pain. It's just, oh, I can't get out of a bed. Oh, don't worry, I'll just roll out at the age of 14. I mean, it was just like normal, right? And I couldn't sleep for 2.5 years of my life during college and high school. And I lost it at the age of 19 and a half. I took 41 sleeping pills. I said, guys, and I want to sleep. That's all I want. And I just can't, right? And they were like, no, that's called suicide. And we got to flash your stomach, right? So these kind of hardships that you are encountering as a child, and maybe the parents do not understand, right? Maybe I had no reason. I was in a very good, well-educated family, right? I had no reason to encounter these hardships, right? Nevertheless, I did. So when I realized that I do have a problem, at 19 and a half, I went to university to study psychology. That was over 20 years ago. And I joke today that I entered as a chicken and I exited as a cow with a lot of books in my belly, right? But no skills to help me. I couldn't even follow a profession. I said, guys, I cannot. I said, what do you mean? You're so great. I'm like, just because I have the best grades in the university, man, I'm more suicidal than the clients. Where do you want to meet? On the bridge? Which one jumps first? I mean, are you serious, guys? I cannot do this job. Mm-hmm. So, I didn't do the job. I was still depressed in my lifetime. I did something else, right? And that happened until the age of 38, where the back problems, fibromyalgia, all of these things started to pile up. I ended up pre-NASH, non-alcoholic liver hepatitis. I ended up pre-diabetic, 2 hernias of disc where my doctor was sending me every other month to surgery, knowing that there are 50% of chances of ever walking again when somebody touches my back. And I was a single mom with an 8-year-old at home. I said, I can't do this to my kid to roll a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I'm like, you guys are crazy. It doesn't matter how much pain I'm into, right? I'm just going to grin and bear it. At the age of 38, I have found out that I have a specific diagnosis of a disease who killed my mom overnight at the age of 55, except that I was 38. It's when I realized that if nobody saved my mom, okay, because we didn't know what she had and stuff like that, I cannot die because I'm a single mom with a kid home. So I acknowledged that I was depressed, which it was hard for me to acknowledge after all the universities and all of that, right? And I looked for people to get me out because I knew that everything I have tried in the past did not work. And I found those answers in 7 months. I was totally out. I ended up climbing a mountain in Capri on high heels by myself. That is from not being able to walk from the couch to the bathroom 7 months prior.
Wow.
All the diseases, all the pre-NASH, all the pre-diabetes, all of this were reversed, period. All the back problems were gone, everything with no medication, with no medical assistance, right? It's when I realized that it's possible. But it was possible not the way I expected, right?
Okay.
So when this particular situation was cleared, I realized that there are parents out there, there are teenagers out there are adults out there that don't know how to get out of this. Exactly like my mom didn't know, I didn't know, right? And they are still trusting to go to doctors, to go to therapists, to go to all of this without seeing results and hoping that something is going to solve out. And this is when I stepped out and said, well, you can do this in an accelerated way. You can do this to let it go forever so it won't come back to you, right? And the example that I give to people is, guys, I was just a suicidal girl from Romania. Okay. Now I talk on public stages next to, very famous people like Jillian Michaels and Jessie Cole. And, I have pictures of Vanilla Ice and things, very, very famous people. And I'm like, this is possible. This is possible when you get out of that pain and you can see life, not suffering, because we've only been conditioned to see suffering.
Wow. So you basically kind of worked out your depression yourself and really got out of that yourself.
We had mentors. So let me preventing depression, it is possible with some skills, but overcoming it, you need a guide. You cannot do it yourself because you think it needs to be done a certain way and it's exactly that way, but it's not working, right? Because you have blind spots. So I had actually 4 mentors in those 7 months.
Okay.
That some of them, doubled down on me and some of them pulled me in different directions, but it worked, right? And today I usually use all of those knowledges that they had, plus my knowledge as a teenager, depressed adult with a parent with a kid almost depressed at the age of 8. So I use all that experience too. And I put together practical programs for people to get out in a practical, systematic strategy way, not the kookadoo, how do you feel today? It doesn't matter. Do you want to fix it? Do you want to feel better tomorrow? All right. So this is what makes me different, right? Because it's not only, what I learned from mentorship and from my own experience. I put together all the hardships that 850 clients had in the last 2 years, right? And I found ways to snap them out in a secret way if you want, but it works.
Oh, so with your own overcoming of depression, do you think it was a combination of your different mentors as well as your own will, your own mindset, so to speak?
So a lot of times people that come to us have tried everything, right? And they're a little bit surrendering to a process. I'm like, what do I have to lose? I already tried everything, right? It's nothing else that I can find. That surrendering to a process that is different than everything you tried, that's actually snapping out of depression, right? Because what I did, I was fighting with life, right? I went to psychology to try to think things. So, then I tried to fight with life. Then I tried, I remember, it was losing weight and changing my food style and stuff like that. Immediately I reversed back within a year, right? I tried Eckhart Tolle meditation. Didn't work when you're adding it on top of pain and you don't remove the pain. That doesn't work. So a lot of our clients have tried everything exactly like I did. And I tell them, yeah, great. Now you figure out what it doesn't work. Are you ready to listen what works?
Okay. So then in terms of that, what so you've kind of figured out what didn't work. You came up with your strategy of what really does work.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to give us a little sneak peek here as to what does work?
So you have met different people in life, and some of them, they have depressed since I was depressed, like since the age of 7, for goodness sake, right? And other ones, they had hardship in life, like the entire family died, or bomb comes on top of your house, a new thing today, right? And they never got depressed, right? They never got out there. They got up, they remarried, they rebuilt it, they did everything, right? And they never stayed into a depression mode like I did as a child. Maybe I didn't even have a reason for it, right? In a way, right? So they made a tremendous amount of research to why. And why was because the people who never get down there have specific skills, life skills, either learned from their parents or either they learn themselves. Nevertheless, they do not know how to express it. For example, I'll give you an example. My girlfriend from high school, she had some of these life skills. So when my mom died, I couldn't go to her funeral because I was planning to kill myself. I was so devastated. I said, maybe I shouldn't go because, it's going to be more devastating, right? And she lost her mom approximately the same time I did. And she was pregnant. And she asked her, oh my God, you must be suffering a lot like I do, right? Because I can't get out of suffering from my mom dying, right? And she said, no, I actually went to my mom's tomb and I said, Mom, I'm sorry you're gone, but now I cannot cry after you for the next year because I have a kid in my belly and I have to take care of my kid. And I said, wow, how did you do that? And she was like, I don't know, that's normal. Yeah, I agree that's normal, right? Not to put suffering on top of you that your child is going to feel inside you, right? But how did you do that? And she's like, I don't know, I just did it. And it's when I realized some people have some skills, some life skills, and they can just switch out of suffering just like that. And I wasn't able to. What am I missing? All right. So we're actually missing 3 sets of skills. Those prevent depression, and those help people to never, ever get back depressed once they learn it, if they don't have it. 3 separate sets of skills: relationship skills, emotional skills, and I call them mindset skills, but they're more like knowing the mindset traps that keep you in suffering, to stay away from them, right? Like traps when you're going through a forest, right? Not to get into it. You know exactly where they are, and you're just navigating your way around them. These 3 levels of skills, some people have and some people don't. The ones that they don't, it's easy for them to slip in depression, in anxiety, and how should I say, once they get it, they'll never get slipping back. It's amazing.
Okay, so are these skills you mentioned, some are more prone to getting depression because they don't have these skills versus others. Is it a learned skill? Are you born with it, or a little bit of both?
Some people are born with it. Some people are born with it, but most of us have to learn it because, how should I say, you usually learn it by example. And if your parents didn't have it, like my mom never had it, right? You just don't get it, right? I remember when I was, about 19 and a half, I already had a boyfriend at that time. And I knew there is something wrong with my boyfriend. I loved him to death. He was amazing, right? There is something wrong, right? So when I went to University of Psychology, I said, well, I need to find out what was it, what is it that doesn't make me 100% in with him, right? I'm like 90%. There's something missing, right? And I couldn't find the answer. Well, he was a narcissist, to find out after 9 years of marriage with him. Okay. So imagine if I would have had that skill then, and I would have recognized it, right? Now you don't waste 9 years in a marriage with someone. You don't suffer another 2-3 years to get out of a marriage, right? I would have saved myself a lot of trouble, right? If I would have just known that. And a lot of clients come to us depressed a lot of times because they already divorced and they thought that, I had a horrible marriage. And I thought that divorce is going to just relieve out everything. And guess what? Now I'm depressed. So now it doesn't work either, right? What am I missing? What am I doing, right? It's like, okay, well, you didn't have a relationship skill to work out your marriage. First of all, to pick up your husband or wife, right? Then to work out your marriage. You ran away and now you hit the wall that, listen, you got to learn these skills because you can't just live your life by yourself. You think you're better by yourself, but the life without love is a very sad life. Come on, let's face it, right? And now you hit the other wall, but I don't want to be by myself all my life, but I'm afraid to be with someone, right? So now, after all this trouble of divorce, hurting, depression, Now you got to learn skills to rebuild yourself, right? So that's why I tell people, learn these skills before. Save yourself about a couple of decades of your life.
Oh, well, will you tell us more about these 3 skills and how they contribute to preventing depression?
So these are the first skill, relationship skill, is everything. Because when we're starting in life, we're starting with a relationship with our parents. And a lot of clients come to me and they said, well, I want to get out of this depression and learn all this, but I want to save my mom or my dad, or I'm not doing this just for me, right? And it's when you feel responsible for your parents, because on one side, you love them to death. On the other side, you realize that they didn't show you what you needed, right? Because they didn't know themselves, right? So it's let's call it a love-hate situation, right? Trying to pull them out, trying to save them, right? And you see a lot of people like this that, they're talking about mom every day when they're 60 years old. Okay, mom is 80 something. Okay, why do you talk to your mom every day at the age of 60, right? So it's when you are trying to save the parent after, you've been through a not very happy childhood usually, right? And I tried that, and many of my clients tried that, and I said, I cannot take you in. This is a program for you, not to change anybody else, right? We're not here to change things, okay? It's different if you want to transform a marriage. It's different if you want to transform a child who suffers from anxiety or disobedience or anger or things like that. Yes, you're responsible for the child, we'll work it out, right? But it's different when you pull these things from the parent side, from the childhood. I'm sorry, you need to do this first. And then if your parent is receptive, fine. If not, fine, right? So these relationship things a lot of times come from parents. And then it goes through adulthood where you don't know which partner to pick, which friends to have. And you wake up that, everybody betrays me, and everybody, is angry at me, and everybody disrespects me, and everybody not understanding that they have their own pain, because you don't see somebody else's pain. You only see yours, right? You only feel yours, right? Not understanding how to navigate. There are 4 types of men and 4 types of women in the world. Nobody can be number 5. Not your child, not your spouse, not your mom, not your dad, not your, husband, not your wife, nobody, right? So nobody can be number 5. So knowing how to navigate between these 4 type of men and women, we call them archetypes, is key to maneuvering everything. Because if you have a solid relationship foundation with yourself and with the people around you, then you don't need the emotional skills part that we talked about, step 2, because you're balanced emotionally. You don't feel stressed, you don't feel anxiety, you don't feel worry, and you don't feel anger, because you already know that they are their own. You don't try to change them. You only try to navigate between the elements, right? The 4 types, right? And when you don't suffer from emotional imbalance because of that, then you don't get yourself into traps like misconceptions about love. Just follow your instincts. I get clients, it's like, what kind of partner do you want? It's like, I want somebody to love me and respect me and understand me. I'm like, fairy tale land, honey. You're in fairy tale land. Tell me which one of the 4 archetypes you want so I can tell you what to do. Which one do you want? What do you mean? There are 4 types of men, 4 types of women. Which one do you want? I'll tell you exactly what to do. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Relationships are strategy. Life are strategy, guys. It's not like you're just flying and hoping you're going to land. No, something's going to knock you out if you do that. Everything is a strategy. You need to know, I want this person. I want that person. What do I have to do? Right? To attract them, to get along with them, to understand them, to understand me, right? How do they think? Do you believe somebody says, oh, I love you? And you're waiting for 2-3 years to see it. What if you would know if they are truthful or not before you start dating? Wouldn't that be useful?
Yes.
So these practical things, right? Before you meet someone, figure out who he is. Okay, well, he's kind of very sexy, very elegant. Watch out not for a narcissist. Watch out for somebody that, says that I never betray you. I would never cheat on you. Just half an hour ago, I did it. But it's never going to happen again. Maybe tomorrow. But, like this, that you need to know relationships and how people think. what are their beliefs, what are their values, which might be different than yours. And then you're wondering, oh, why this person never wants to marry and have children? Because they have different values than you do in life, right? But knowing all this will help you navigate life easily, like surfing with life instead of fighting with it.
Okay. So relationships, it seems like once you get that, the other two come a little bit easier.
Yes, it's very easy. Once you understand relationships and exactly who you are, what you want, not what you think you want in fairyland, right? And what, how should I say, how to navigate, because people change, for example, in America, but can only change between the four archetypes. They can only move from one to another. They cannot change from a different planet. Okay. So these are for women, these are for men. And a lot of people said, well, I had a client. Actually, I just did a LinkedIn video yesterday. I think it was on Facebook too. So I had a client on New Year's Eve who actually hired me to get rid of his ex-girlfriend with no drama. Right. So was my job. Listen, I have an ex-girlfriend. She doesn't get it. Just tell her that I don't want any drama. Just, make sure you talk to her and it's over. Right. And he was interested in her for a while, right? But he wasn't anymore. So what happened was that she saw that he's interested. She already attached to him, right? Okay. And then when he pushed her away, she thought that this is normal because we women do this all the time. We're pushing guys away so they can come back to us, right? That's not how a man thinks. When a man pushes you away, that means you gotta go. Okay. She's not interested in playing interesting things, right? He's like, and she just didn't get that. It's like, but we do this all the time. I know, but what we do as women. That's not what they do as men. But he was interested in me. Yes, he was, but now he isn't. Right. And I imagine I explained this New Year's Eve. I tried to heal her from heartbreak in the middle of a party out there, right? So imagine that this was not very easy for her. Nevertheless, she realized that, man, I kind of fall in love too quickly with these guys and I kind of attach too quickly and I have a problem. So actually, last week she called me. She called me to tell me, I want you to mentor me. I fall in love with another guy and now I realize I have a problem and I don't want to make the same mistakes. Can you check if this guy is the right one for me? And I said, no, I cannot do this for the rest of your life. You're super young. You're super beautiful. Every 3 months, you're going to bring another guy into the equation. How about I give you a course so you can figure it out yourself if it's the right person for you, right? So this is how it was super funny, right? Because I practically break her relationship and she wants me to be her mentor, all right? So it's just super funny how it will work out. But these are the things that sometimes we don't acknowledge that we're going in the wrong direction, repeating patterns, right, of relationship trouble. And this is exactly why, I do this kind of a job. And sometimes we even have programs like we have one right now at betteraskana.com, where you can ask for free one question. You can text me the question that you have. Instead of making these kind of mistakes, imagine, she was in a circle of very rich people. Imagine if they would have started seeing that the guy doesn't want her, that she's all over him. Imagine the embarrassment, the fact that she could never find a guy in that situation, right? Imagine how much trouble she would have been in just because she's in love, right? And she doesn't get the memo, but he doesn't care, right? Things like this. And by the way, people usually contact me to save marriages and get together. This was one of the jobs, the most interesting jobs I've had. But these kind of things, do you see, if you get straight relationships, you don't fall into these traps where people laugh at you. Practically, they laugh at you, right? And you're like, but why? I don't see why. I don't.
Sure.
Little nuances like that, right? That you think that, oh, but we do this all the time. Yeah, but men don't. Okay, so there's some guidelines here, right? Because as a woman, you should never pursue a man. You already know that. But she was doing this unconsciously because she was in love, right? So little stories like that are important. Your relationship with your children are very important, especially when they're teenagers, because this is when they go haywire. And if for example, many parents come to me, it's like, I can't handle this. I just sent him to a therapist. She loves the therapist better than me. I'm like, it's not good. You have no influence over that child. You cannot transform that child. That child is not going to come to you to ask for advice. He's going to look for people outside the house to ask for advice. They're going to end up in narcissistic abuse, in verbally abusive people, in all kind of toxic situations because they're looking outside you to solve their problem. No, you have to take the reins and solve a problem as a parent. So you can be a role model for your kid. And any problem the kid has calls you, not the therapist. So little things like this, that they're so important. They're so important, my dear.
Okay. So now once you learn these life skills, then that you can prevent depression both within yourself, within your family, with your kids, with your spouse, all of those things to help you build resilience, so to speak?
No, to help avoid pain forever. It's like chess. You need to know each piece what it does before you start playing the game. Right? And better you play the game, better you anticipate what the other opponent is doing, you win faster, which for us is winning influence over your children, over your spouse, right? And maneuvering in a way that they think that they're the ones maneuvering you. Okay. It's just it's like, oh, I won. I'm like, you think you won. But it's okay, you won. But so did I, all right? So things like this that we're trying to navigate things with a strategy, not with, how should I say, hardship, because we're used to think that life is difficult, is hard. And the truth is that only a fool learns by his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So yeah, so once we learn from the mistakes of others and we get the shortcuts, we can save ourselves a lot of pain and trouble for ourselves and our family.
Okay. So on that note, what are the first steps to really preventing you learning these strategies and then using them to prevent depression?
So the first steps would be to acknowledge the fact that if you don't have a relationship that you want in your life, if your kids are, not having the relationship they want with you, right, or you want with them, you have to get out of a fairyland, storyland tale, and get strategizing here, right? And we do even have classes for free to help parents do that, because it's very important. Expecting that a teenager will solve a relationship problem with you that you're not able to solve with them, it's expectation you shouldn't have, right? If you want to solve a problem, you as a parent should solve it, not expect a teenager to solve it with you, right? And these kind of things happen. Then, if you don't have a partner that you really want, and you want to know if you can transform a partner, or if you can get rid of a partner, or, find another one or stuff like that, you need some strategies. You need to know who you are, who do you want, and how to make it happen. There is a formula for this. Okay. So don't just step into relationships in 2 years, the honeymoon is over, and then the arguments start. And then you have a miserable life. And by the way, a miserable life at home will make you less productive at work, and it will hold you back from your dreams, from your purpose in life, from making money. So here it is, you destroy all your life just because you have some arguments inside the household. This is why, what we're doing is practically we're building amazing family relationships. So when you come home, you fill yourself up with love and respect, and you realize, oh my God, this is exactly why I go to work, right? To receive that love, to receive that respect. It's amazing, right? I irradiate. Only coming home, I prefer to come home, not even go to the grocery store, so I can go with all my family to the grocery store, instead of running away from home first at the bar, or some kind of drinking party, or some kind of friends party, so I won't hear my wife or my husband, saying things, right? I remember when I was with my second husband, we had a party at home. It was 4th of July. And I found a reason to go to work at that time, even if I shouldn't have worked on 4th of July, because the company is fine if you work or not. And from there, I went to see a movie. And the only movie I could see was a cartoon, because it was the only movie running on 4th of July in theaters, right? And I had a party at home with people and with my husband. I just didn't want to see them. I just did not want to see them, That would have been a sign that I shouldn't have spent 7 years with that guy, right? You think about it, right? So this is what we're trying to accomplish, have amazing family relationships. So, emotional imbalance doesn't occur, depression doesn't occur, scandal, divorces, spending money on lawyers doesn't occur. Okay. So you can live your life purpose. So you can find your purpose in life. Okay. So you can make the money you want, open the business you want, whatever you need to do to fill yourself up with love in your family, not with troubles and sufferings.
Okay. So, as far as building those relationships, what really, I guess, energizes you personally in terms of your own relationships with your family members?
So imagine that I got a kid from the age of 8 who was telling me, Mom, I wish you would die, because he was sleeping in depression like I used to, right? I used to be, right? And now this kid was the only 14-year-old invited to a celebrity conference to attend with very successful people, right? And he was taking interview with very successful people. And when I talk, he is already executing what I said. So when I opened my mouth, I said, Danny, I'm going to need this from you. Yes, Mom. Before I say what? This is the type of child that every parent should have. Not with scandal, not with saying 3 times, 5 times, not to listening, not to doing the opposite. Okay? Not that kind of power struggle between the parent and the child, right? It's like, I told you 5 times, I told you 10 times, I told you a million times. What do I have to do this? And the kid does the opposite, right? Or just hides things, or it lies, or it's disrespectful, or things like that. You need to have a kid exactly like mine. You say something, I'm going to need this to do this. Yes, Mom. Doesn't matter what I said after that. It's already a yes. That kind of respect towards child and parent, that kind of love. He comes to me, he didn't hug me when he was little. And he comes to me now, he tries to hug me. I'm like, you're taller than me. Can you give me some space, please? Okay, you're taller. But Mom, I know you love me. You used to hate me, okay? Because you were in pain and suffering, and I was depressed, and you were running away from my depression, right? I know, but you love me. But can you just give me some space? Because you're bigger than me. You really can't hug me now. You're huge, right? So things like this that every parent deserves to see, that, how should I say, release of tension, a release of tension inside the household, where you are being listened to, respected, loved, and they feel the same. Teenager, my husband, everybody, right? They feel the same, respected and loved. And then there is no, you don't understand me. I want this, I want that, Why were you late? I'm like, can you just ask a question? Do you still love me? Why do you have to ask, why are you late? I had something to do. I still love you. Relax. Okay. So things like this that, it's tension release. And this is what relationship, strategy does. It releases tension because it accumulates over and over again. And you don't realize how it accumulates that, now you love somebody, now you hate somebody in just 1 second, right? You have noticed that.
Fantastic. Well, Ana, how can people get in contact with you?
So we have a lot of classes and courses for free on my website at betteraskana with 1n.com, including the fact that we have this service of asking a question. You text us the question with your email address and name, and we're sending you the answer in a couple of days. And mistakes that people do all the time is like divorcing too early, or quitting on finding a partner, or putting their kid through therapy, and all kind of mistakes that people do. Ask a question and we'll direct you to the right answers. We have classes for free for relationship with teenagers and with adults. We have courses for free with the exact system how to overcome depression for teenagers and adults. And you find everything at betteraskana with 1n.com.
Fantastic. We will include all of those in the show notes. And Ana, it's been a pleasure. It's been really eye-opening to understand how those relationships are so key to preventing depression and really harmonizing your relationships and harmonizing the family. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, Michelle Seidling here at Food Experience Unplugged. Are you enjoying the Food Experience Unplugged podcast and are ready to ramp it up a level? Then it's time to go premium. With a premium podcast membership, In addition to all the great podcast episodes you know and love, you'll receive additional bonus content and exclusive interviews from many of our podcast guests. You'll receive a live Q&A access each month where I'll address questions pertaining to holistic health and how you can start your journey. You'll also receive weekly shorter video clips with information on tips, tricks, and strategies to get started, to build consistent habits, and to take charge of your health. Go premium today. I'll see you there.